down to 3, convening executive session. 3.1, governing board may convene executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431-03, letters A1, A3, and A4 for the following purposes. Number 1, discussion, consideration, and possible legal advice regarding employment and contractual matters related to Dr. Ryan Leucher's associate to the superintendent assignment, including related negotiations and personnel matters pursuant to ARS 38-431-03, A1, A3, and A4. Number 2, discussion or consultation with the attorneys of the public body for legal advice regarding contractual terms related to consideration of Talia Visitainer for the interim superintendent position, including possible action related to filling the interim superintendent position, and instruct its attorney regarding the related negotiations and personnel matters pursuant to ARS 38-431-03, the numbers A1, A3, and A4. And with that, I just need a motion to convene executive session.
I will motion to convene the executive session for all the aforementioned items.
Okay, and I will second. Mrs. Cuthbert, we have a motion by Mrs. Ewing and a second by myself. If you run us through a voice vote, please.
President Toby?
Yes.
Ms. Bowles?
Yes.
Mrs. Crumpet?
Yes.
Mrs. Ewing?
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks?
Abstain.
With 4 yeas and 1 abstention, motion passes. We will now convene executive session. Thank you. Mrs. Bowles, we're going to go ahead and invite from the landline, so just give us 1 second, okay?
Is the superintendent a member of the board?
No, he's not, but he can go into executive session.
I thought they are for only the attorney and the board.
It depends on how it's written, so,
You ready to pummel
could
him,
be
sir? Is that
correct.
the whole point?
pardon me?
Like, he's stepping over here with his arms crossed. What's the point?
Sir, if there's any disruptions today.
Am I disrupting?
If it's beyond what normally would be.
They're
stated,
gone.
then
The meeting's
you will
in
be
and
escorted out. Thank you.
I can't talk.
You may, but just as long as you're.
Am I
not
talking
disrupted.
disruptively?
Thank you.
Am I allowed to talk to another person in this room? Are they allowed to talk to me?
Hey, Mr. Manning, you want to talk to me, come right here.
Who's that?
Summers. Or the servant, whichever one.
Let's talk.
We'll talk outside.
I'm fine in here.
We'll talk outside.
Why don't you talk in front of the
Let's go.
You are trespassing.
I motion to adjourn executive session. I will second.
Mrs. Cuthbert, we have a motion made by Clerk Profit and a second by Mrs. Ewing. Can you run us through a voice vote, please?
Mrs. Ewing,
Yes.
Mrs. Prophet,
Yes.
Mrs. Rooks,
Yes.
Mr. Toth.
Yes. With 4 yeas and 1 absent, we are adjourned from executive session. Moving on to 5.1, discussion of possible action regarding employment and contractual matters related to Dr. Ryan Leucher's associate to the superintendent assignment. We have with us board attorney Mrs. Susan Siegel.
Mr. Toby, members of the board, I presented to you an addendum number 3 to the certificated teacher contract of Ryan Leucher. It deletes addendum number 2. It changes his duties in addendum number 1 to perform such duties as assigned by the individual designated to carry out the duties of the superintendent. And it continues on to refer to paragraph 5 of addendum number 1 by deleting the 10-day notice of termination provision. And those are the only changes to the original contract and the previous addenda.
And if you could just clarify the correspondence from Dr. Leucher, which was leading up to this item, please.
Mr. Toby, members of the board, I received a copy of a notice that Dr. Leucher sent to you, and that stated that he withdrew from consideration as an interim superintendent for the interim superintendent position, and that he agreed that he will continue to work for the district through June 30th, 2026, at the same rate of pay that he's being paid. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there. The same rate of pay that he was contracted to pay, which is at $140,000 a year, prorated, of course, for the term.
Thank you, Mrs. Siegel. We do have public comment tied to this line item. Speakers will have 3 minutes. First public speaker is Megan Gutierrez.
Unknown participant is now joining.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Gutierrez.
Can you hear me?
Is she good?
We can hear you. I'm sorry, we're just linking in Mrs. Bowles. You'll have your time back.
Okay. Am I good?
Okay.
Good morning. I am a parent of 3 children that have attended Peoria Unified School District for the past 9 years. I'm also an educator for the district for the past 5 years. I've never attended a board meeting before, and I felt very strongly to be here today after overwhelming concern from the community regarding Dr. Leucher in this position.
Microphone wasn't on. May we give her her time back?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and reset your time. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can hear you, but please, for the public, go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Gutierrez. I am a parent of 3 children in this school district for the past 9 years. I'm also an educator in this district for the past 5 years. I've never attended a board meeting before, but felt very strongly to be here today after overwhelming concern from myself and the community that I am in regarding Dr. Leucher and his current position. I have had the privilege of working with Dr. Leucher as a colleague, and also very fortunate to have him as a teacher to my daughter. And I also took a half day off to be here. I don't know if it's normal to hold board meetings at this time, but I can tell you that it's a little odd. The community thinks it's a little odd, which is part of the reason I felt strongly to be here. Dr. Leucher's passion, enthusiasm, and dedication that he has brought to his position when he was teaching was absolutely outstanding. It was no surprise to me when I heard that he had stepped into the assistant to the superintendent role. The few times I've had the privilege of crossing paths with him, it was evident that he brought that same enthusiasm, passion, and dedication for students to his new role. I cannot think of anyone more qualified to be in this position, and I'm concerned about what's going on in the district, and that's why I'm here today. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. And Mrs. Posey Ward, just so you know. Next public comment comes from Gabe Johns.
Hello, this is my first ever board meeting, but I do agree with her that I do think it's weird that it was randomly announced about like 30 minutes before it was supposed to start, but I strongly oppose this rush appointment of HR Chief Tayala Vicentainer, sorry if I mispronounced your name, as interim superintendent. The decision by President Jeff Toby, Clerk Rebecca Prodiff, and outgoing Superintendent Somers is wrong and lacks transparency and proper process. Just a month ago, the board chose Leucher as interim specifically to investigate ignored reports of teachers grooming and sexually abusing students. Now they're replacing that person with an HR executive who joined PUSD less than a year ago. And as a resident of Peoria, I think it is weird that someone who doesn't have a lot of experience, especially in the school district, just got promoted that fast. Vicentainer's background is human resource, not education, leadership, student achievement, or school administration. Putting the HR director in charge sends a terrible message. Sends a terrible message. Protecting staff matters more than protecting students. This move risks slowing or buying the critical investigation parents have demanded. I urge the board to reverse this appointment immediately and keep Leucher or select a qualified educator through a proper process. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Our next public speaker, Inger Hebert.
Good afternoon, board. Mrs. Rooks, thank you for everything you've done. I wanted to bring to attention the fact that it's the week of graduation. It's the last week of school, and it seems very concerning that you would decide that 11 o'clock on a random Wednesday, is it Wednesday? Tuesday, to decide to have a board meeting to take away the person that you 3 weeks ago put in as your interim superintendent. But it also does not make any sense over the last several weeks and months how this board has acted. It is inappropriate for you to bully somebody out of their job. It is inappropriate to take a man, put him in a position, sign him into a contract, and then take all of that away. How dare you? This is absolutely the most disgusting thing I have ever seen in a board, and you should be removed, to be perfectly honest, especially you, Mr. Toby.
Thank you for your public comment. Next public comment comes from just the first name, Patrick. We can make sure the timer is set for 3 minutes.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Toby, we are having technical difficulties. I will set a timer on my phone.
I actually don't believe that partisan politics are driving this current monkey show. This is not my circus, not my monkey, but you're primarily upset that Ms. Rooks broke the code by effectively spitting in the district soup, and it's shameful what's going on right now. I further believe that the current superintendent, Casey Summers, right now he's badly in need of a trusted insider to essentially cover his six as he exits the district. He's unwilling to leave the keys in the hands of an honest man who isn't a devotee of the playbook that all the districts follow. right, Ms. Siegel? In situations of sex abuse. But not to worry, he will get no rest until he becomes honest and transparent. Finally, someday. I'll wait for that answer. To the board, I'd like to say, hiding all of your latest dirty work under the cover of executive session in the middle of the week when people are clearly booked for other things. I don't know why you would do this. I guess I do know why you would do this, but it's just further eroding the public trust, and you're basically becoming the advertising pamphlet for ESAs right now. Everybody's like, what? Why do I want my kids in this mess? And that's what you're getting, you know. Thanks.
Thank you for your public comment. Next public comment comes from Sharon Benson.
If I can get up and move. Thank you, Ouster Toby, governing board members, and Dr. Summers. Well, here we are, smack in the middle of a day at a special meeting, apparently to undo the will of the board that was, as Ms. Heber said, voted on 3 weeks ago. Now, I was going to briefly recap, but I think everybody knows the entire situation. And when I came and spoke at the ousting meeting of Heather Brooks, I mentioned that it really begs credibility to believe that no one at Centennial knew the sexual rumors that were happening. It also begs credulity to believe that Mr. Leucher, on his own, said, you know what, let me just leave. His wife, I'm sure I can read this because it was public record. On May 17th, 2026, Ryan was contacted by Dr. Summers and asked to voluntarily withdraw from consideration for the interim superintendent position. Ryan was informed that this request was being made at the direction of members of the school board. Now, that's plural, so I'm going to make a statement that perhaps open meeting law has been violated if 2 or more of you discussed with Dr. Summers and yourselves that Mr. Leucher has to, or strongly suggesting that he leave. Process is very important, and the process that your board has taken over the last couple months is really reprehensible from a transparency standpoint. As Patrick said, you are absolutely the advertisement for ESA. I believe Mrs. Bull said at the meeting of the ousting of Mrs. Rooks that Peoria is the fastest growing ESA district in the state. There's a reason for that. Calling a meeting in the middle of a work week during the final week of school when you should be celebrating your graduates and their accomplishments and not distracting them with all of this chaos is quite absolutely, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. I handled my board seat that way in Mesa. I would pray to God that people would oust me because I would not be working for the people. I'd be working for a district that wants to protect itself. That's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. You are publicly elected officials. Your job, morally, not just legally, morally is to protect children, and you have not been doing it. It's hypocritical as well. You ousted Heather because she went against the will of the board. How are you doing anything different, Mrs. Proudfoot or Mr. Toby? Thank you.
Public comment. Final public comment on this line item comes from Desiree Burke.
The role of the superintendent, according to past board discussions, manage operations, translate board policies into actionable administrative procedures, manage daily district operations, including staffing, facilities, finances, and instructional programs, lead district staff to achieve excellence across all areas of the organization, and foster transparency and trust through consistent messaging and engagement. Candidate 1, More than 20 years of experience in public education, serving in a variety of leadership and instructional roles. Served as an administrator, classroom teacher, and instructional coach with extensive experience in curriculum development, instructional leadership, and school improvement initiatives. Taught in higher education, curriculum design, innovative instructional practices, including the integration of emergency technologies in education. Recognized for his commitment in strengthening teaching and learning through data-informed decision-making, professional development, and collaborative leadership. Work in education spans both domestic and international contexts, providing him with a broad perspective on effective instructional systems and school leadership. These are the district's own words on their own website today. Candidate 2, experienced human resources leader, operational leadership experience, demonstrated history of working in all types of industries, including nonprofit. Strengths include coaching, team building, management, performance management, and selection. Skilled at developing and streamlining processes to increase awareness, knowledge, and execution. This is the candidate's own words on her own LinkedIn. I don't know either of these people, but I do have a dog in this fight, my kids. 2 months ago, 4 of the 5 of you voted to recognize the obvious talents of Dr. Ryan Leucher, whose resume leads with extensive educational leadership experience. We're hiring someone to oversee the running of schools, not someone who is an attorney. We already have those. Can current and future employees trust this board? Today we'll answer that question. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. In a recent board meeting, board members condemned former President Rooks for calling for a third-party investigation, which they stated could jeopardize the prosecution and judicial process, potentially letting pedophiles off the hook. Now this same board, who boasts transparency and prioritizing the safety of children, makes moves during one of the busiest weeks of school, at a time when most can't attend, to vote someone into the highest level of leadership at the district who is reported to being in oversight of the current investigation. This couldn't bring into question anything legally? Is the whole process smoke and mirrors? We're here for kids, period. That's it. No politics. Cut out the nonsense. Apologize to Dr. Ryan Leucher and his family. Keep your word and pray to God he has the grace to proceed in this role. And I added this at the end because of how this meeting started. President Toby, no one believes he suddenly voluntarily stepped down. Respectfully, the lawyer's statement is very vague. He submitted a resignation, okay, under duress.
As final public comment, I will go ahead and go to the board. Start off with Ms. Rooks.
So I'm just gonna make a statement here and I'm reading it off my phone, so bear with me. Today I want to speak openly about what I believe has been a deeply disappointing and, in my opinion, unethical process surrounding the removal of Dr. Ryan Leucher as interim superintendent. On April 23rd, this board voted 4-1 to nominate Dr. Leucher as interim superintendent effective July 1st, 2026, and to begin contract negotiations with the attorney. That vote mattered. Our word should matter. The public should be able to trust that when this board takes official action, it means something. What's disturbing to me is the narrative now being pushed that Dr. Leucher somehow lost interest in serving this district. That is simply not true. As mentioned, that someone said in the public comment, the spouse, the wife of Dr. Leucher posted on social media the truth, and that there was a phone call made on a Sunday morning to push him out. On a Sunday when he's supposed to be with his family. Stating that they wanted to go in a different direction. Again, I had no idea that this was happening. But what is deeply concerning is that where is the transparency in this process? Because we sat up here the past couple months, I was being questioned with the process. We did interviews. We went through the whole process. So how do you publicly support and vote for someone, begin contract negotiations, and then suddenly pivot behind closed doors without any public discussion, explanation, or accountability to the community? By also calling for this meeting at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. Dr. Ryan Leucher stepped up during a difficult time for this district. He stepped forward to serve students, families, and staff. He has done nothing no longer wanted this position. That is unfair to him, and it is unfair to the students, staff, parents, and the community. I also find it troubling that when we previously discussed the interim leadership and associate superintendent positions, like I said, we conducted interviews, but now there appears to be no consistency at all today. I, as a board member, saw the agenda posted and saw a name just put on the agenda on 5.2. Typically, when board members want an item discussed or considered for future action, it is brought forward during future agenda item requests at the end of a board meeting. A board member requests it publicly, and another board member seconds it, and then it comes back through the proper process for a future meeting. But that did not happen here. Instead, this item appeared to move rapidly behind the scenes with little transparency and no meaningful public discussion about why the board is abandoning the very person they previously voted to support. And I also believe this is a disservice to our community, our parents, our staff, and our students, and the very people who elected us into these positions. Holding a meeting on a Tuesday weekday at 11 a.m. regarding one of the biggest decisions facing this district at a time when many working parents, staff members, and community members cannot reasonably attend or provide public input. This meeting could have waited until next week. There was no reason to rush the process the way that it has been rushed, regardless of whatever narrative is now being pushed out publicly. That raises serious concerns for me as a board member about governance, consistency, and integrity. What message does this send to our employees and our community? That this board is willing to publicly support someone 1 month and then quietly pull the rug out from under them the next. Where does our word matter anymore? How can we expect parents, students, employees to trust leadership when commitments made in public meetings can simply disappear without explanation? In my opinion, what is happening here reflects a culture where individuals who step up, who ask questions, who lead with integrity, and who may not align with certain leadership preferences are pushed aside. And that is dangerous for the future of this district. President Jeff Tobey, I believe it was stated at the previous meeting, you spoke about everyone being on the same ship together, working for children and public education. But I have to ask, was Dr. Ryan Leucher ever truly allowed on that ship? Or was he pushed overboard the moment he no longer fit the direction certain individuals wanted to go? Because from where I sit today, this doesn't look like transparency. It does not look like stability, which is what we need right now, which is what was discussed previously in April. And it certainly doesn't look like honoring the commitments this board made publicly in April to the community.
Mrs. Ewing, comments or questions?
Here, here.
Thank you, President Tobey. I previously, when the vote came to hire Dr. Leucher as the associate to the superintendent, it was a 5-0 vote. And then when it came to directing the attorney to hire him as an interim to begin the contract negotiations, it was a 4-1 vote. So I stated the type of leader that I thought that this district would need at that time, and I explained my vote. But what I would like to do today on this item is I would like to spend time thanking him for the work that he did do. And also, I want to remind folks that we oftentimes have folks who've retired from the district or working in different roles that do come and help us in different capacities for short periods of time. And I appreciate that Dr. Leucher, for the short time that, because he was only hired a couple of years ago, that he was here, that he was willing to step up and help in an extra capacity. And I think that I've only really sat and talked to him once, but one of the things that I would like us to make sure that we carry forward was his ability to listen and bring lots of different groups of individuals together and listen to the voices of our staff and being able to really facilitate that. So I'd like to make sure that that is carried forward, and his ability to collaborate. So I think that at this time, there is a different, well, I just really want to offer my appreciation for the work that he has done. And although I haven't witnessed him in the classroom, I have heard great things about him in the classroom. But I also just want to make sure that we are valuing all of the employees that we do have out there, and Dr. Leucher is one of them, and I appreciate all the work that he does to stay committed to students, and I want to be able to honor what his request is with regards to this position. So I think that's all I have to say, but thank you.
Clerk Crawford.
Similar to Mrs. Ewing, I really want to thank Dr. Leucher. He did step up at a time in our district where someone needed to step up, and he did so, and he did so humbly. He did so with integrity, and he worked hard to communicate with and to try to give his expertise to some things in our district, and I greatly appreciate that. He did a great job as associate to the superintendent, and I just want to thank him for his service.
Thank you, Clerk Crawford. Yes, just a couple of things. In my correspondence with Dr. Leucher this week, one thing that he asked was not.
Toby?
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally forgot you were here. I apologize, Mrs. Bowles. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me well?
We have you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to ask our attorney so that we can talk to the open. I don't have no video, so I don't know where she is. She's in the room. Or somebody else wants to answer this. What risks are we taking as a district of appointing an interim HR director before the investigation is complete, similar to what the board did with the, let me say it this way, similar to the outside investigation and the Becky and, I'm sorry, Ms. Crockett and Mr. Toby and Ms. Ewing saying that we were interfering with a investigation by doing an outside investigation. Putting the interim HR director before the investigation is complete, given her involvement in Centennial cases. Are we putting the district at risk?
Members of the board, or Mr. Toby, members of the board, Mrs. Bowles, if I understand your question correctly, you're not increasing any risk in appointing Ms. Visitainer to the position of interim superintendent.
Okay, and then, I don't know if this can be answered. If it can't, then you can tell me yes or no, President Toby. How many years does Ms. Visitainer have in the classroom as a teacher or a principal, or experience as a superintendent?
Mrs. Visitainer, do you care to respond?
President Toby, Mrs. Bowles, I have not had experience in those positions.
Okay, and then what instructional roles have you had in your career?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, what instructional roles have you had as a retainer in your career?
Mrs. Bowles, I have been part of organizational development and training for staff and employees for multiple years.
And then formal instruction education, would you say that was what you just described?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, as far as instructional roles, have you done formal instructional education, and is that what you just described?
That is what I described, yes.
Okay, I heard parents, if everybody that came and spoke, I just can't say thank you enough. You hear first, and the things that were said, I Leucher was voted in and accepted as the interim. And some don't agree that he should be the interim. And I will end with this. Never in my career have I ever been overseeing people in, supervisor position or even statewide agency. Have I ever listened to an employee? Yes, if we had some special whatever, I would listen. But I never let them drive the decision of getting rid of an employee. That is very concerning to me, and I do not agree with what's happening today. But I'm one voice on a board that at one time was leading conservatively, but that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mrs. Bowles. I apologize for skipping over you. I'll just comment briefly. April 23rd, we did vote to have our board attorney engage in negotiations for interim superintendent for Dr. Leucher. Since April 23rd, a lot has transpired, and in my conversation with Dr. Leucher, he does not wish to be pulled into the politics of the situation, and I want to honor that request, and I'm not going to go into the details regarding my conversation with Dr. Leucher. So with that, I motion to accept Dr. Ryan Leucher's withdrawal of nomination for interim superintendent and allow him to continue serving out his contract as associate to the superintendent, expiring June 30th, 2026, and converting to addendum number 3 as provided by legal counsel.
I will second.
Mrs. Cooper, we have a motion made by myself and a second by Clerk Profit. If you can run us through a voice vote, please.
Ms. Bowles?
No, absolutely no.
President Toby?
Yes.
Mrs. Ewing?
Yes.
Mrs. Rooks?
I'm gonna explain my vote. I think it is wrong to stab someone in the back, which is what is happening here today. So I vote no to stabbing someone in the back.
Mrs. Profit?
Yes.
Thank you.
3 yeas, 2 nays, the motion passes. Moving on to 5.2. Discussion of possible action regarding the appointment of Ms. Talia Vicentainer to serve as interim superintendent effective May 26, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, including approval of any related contract terms or assignment provisions. Mrs. Siegel.
Mr. Toby, members of the board, you have seen in front of you a draft interim superintendent contract. It is modeled after the previous superintendent contract, except it is just a month short of 1 year, or no, I'm sorry, except it's 13 months, and instead of 3 years. It has a different base salary, a different amount of tax shelter annuity, and different terms as to termination. If you have any questions, you're certainly welcome to, I'm here for you to ask them, and I'll answer.
Thank you, Mrs. Siegel. We do have public comment tied to this line item. First public comment, you will have 3 minutes. Patrick.
I think I've said it all.
Thank you for your public comment, sir. Next public comment comes from Gabe Johns. Are you good? I saw you put it 5-2, so I'm just offering you the opportunity. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, that is the all extent of public comment. Comments or questions, Mr. Brooks?
I'll just say again, this was a rushed process. This name was just put on the agenda without any further discussion, without any interviews, without any process brought forward. Nothing. It was just, I didn't even know that this was even on the table. I saw it on an email that Ms. Bowles mentioned we got emailed on a Sunday. So I find that the hypocrisy of the way that things are being done right now, that there's not an actual process. So I'll end with that, because in my opinion, I think this decision has already been made.
former superintendent, Dr. Summers, on leave. So whatever date we can meet again for another special meeting, I would like that date to be reflected in the addendum of when the, board president appointed new interim will start.
Do you have anything additional?
I have a lot, but I don't think I should say it in public. I would say this. We have a board that was conservative, and what I see as a board member is you are allowing union, groups of people, those that did not vote for some of you up on that dais, remember that, they're not your constituents, rule and run this district. And I really have no idea why, but the public are smart and they see it. That's all I have to say.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
Clerk Prophet.
Thank you.
So I would just speak to a little bit about the reasoning for the scheduling of this meeting. It's graduation week, and we have less than a week before Dr. Summers is actually in effect no longer in control of this district. So Thursday evenings, which is typically when most board members are available, is in the midst of graduation. It was not feasible, and so through discussion about when to have a special meeting, this was the time that was accessible for most. So this is obviously not the ideal time, not the ideal situation, but this is what we're faced with right now. And we have to make decisions, and that's what we're led to do, is make difficult decisions. So as far as the process goes, this is interim, and I believe that
Unknown participant is now joining.
Leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as.
And I would just say that to have Mrs. Bissentainer hold the water for the district, so to speak, for this next and coming year, to identify a process, to have community input, and a long-range plan on selecting a permanent superintendent is important at running that process. As an HR director and as an attorney, she knows the law, she knows the process, and I have full faith and confidence that she will deliver a solid quality process to allow the board to pick a permanent superintendent who will stay here and who will lead this district. So with that, I motion to approve Mrs. Talia Byzantiner to serve as interim superintendent effective May 26, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, which is substantially similar to the contract submitted to the board as provided by legal counsel.
I will second.
Mrs. Cuthbert, we have a motion made by myself
Participant is now joining.
and a second made by Clerk Prophet. Mrs. Bowles, are you there?
Yes.
So just to catch you up, we did have a motion by myself and a second by Clerk Prophet to nominate Mrs. Talia Byzantiner as interim superintendent, and Mrs. Cuthbert is going to run us through a voice vote.
As expected, thanks.
Mrs. Crumpet,
Yes.
Ms. Bowles,
No.
Mrs. Ewing, Mrs. Rooks,
I'm going to explain my vote. I'm going to offer an apology to Dr. Ryan Leucher and his family for what this board has put him and his family through, and all of the staff members that were excited for him and believed in him and were ready to work with him. I am sorry that this is happening, and especially sorry to our families and our community members and our students that this is what's happening right now. And I want to thank Dr. Ryan Leucher for being a man of integrity and wanting to serve the students. So with that, I vote no on this appointment of interim superintendent to Talia Byzantiner.
President Toby.
Yes.
Thank you.
3 yeas, 2 nays, motion passes. Congratulations, Mrs. Byzantiner.
none of the things I've said today are a reflection of you. I just want you to hear that straight from me. Dr. Leucher and family, if you're listening, I am very sorry for what you are going through right now. There's really nothing else to say to that. I'm appalled, but I'm sorry that you're going through this. President Toby, I need to know when I can do a request for a future agenda item.
That's not agendized at this time, but you can follow up after the meeting. Mrs. Brooks, I'm sorry, say again?
With who?
You can
Who am I
follow,
following up with?
you can follow up with me following the meeting. Mrs. Brooks, any comments, questions? Again, thank you, Mrs. Vicentainer, for being willing to step up and to lead this district. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on the future process that you are going to put together to ensure that we can find a permanent superintendent. But again, thank you for being willing to jump in the role. Moving on to 6.1, adjournment of special meeting. I need a motion for adjournment.
I motion to adjourn. I will second.
I have a motion by Clerk Proudfist, seconded by Mrs. Ewing. Mrs. Cuthbert, can you run us through a voice vote, please?
Unknown participant is now exiting.
President Toby,
Yes.
Mrs. Profit,
Yes.
Mrs. Ewing,
Yes.
Mrs. Rose.
Yes.
Thank you. And I will mark Ms. Bowles as not present and vote.
Thank you. So 4 yeas, 1 absent. Motion carries. Meeting is dismissed at 1:08 p.m. Thank you.
You're all snapped out. That is true.
Hungry.